it's Andre from Simple Indoor Garden. In the previous video we unpacked the salad green grower, and in this video we'll plant something. And before going to do that, I wanted to talk about what kind of plants can you grow in this wonderful device. The one-page manual that currently comes with it actually tells that you only can grow plants from seedlings. We need to fix that because it's not completely true. You can grow any plants from seeds as well. And that's what we're going to do in this video. We're actually going to plant seeds and grow plants from the beginning. It will require a little bit more patience, but it'll yield the great reward. So usually what people grow in these trays are either some kind of herbs or some kind of vegetables. So in terms of herbs, what grows really well is basil, all kinds of basil, all kinds of, I don't know, some other herbs that you typically don't use a lot of when cooking. Salad grows very well. Some kind of smaller varieties of tomato plants, like, you know, those cherry tomatoes, which don't grow very tall, but they produce quite a bit of tomatoes. I kind of foresee the obvious question, given upcoming legalization of marijuana in Canada, whether you can grow pot in those trays, marijuana, sorry. Probably not. Marijuana growing is a totally different enterprise, and theoretically, if you put a light attachment on top, you can probably grow some miniature varieties of marijuana, but I have no clue if it's possible, and even if it's legal in your jurisdiction, it's kind of totally different kind of effort. So let's concentrate for now on herbs and vegetables. So the first step to do when you just got your tray unpacked is to fill it up with water. So the instructions say that you need to add 7 liters of water into the tray itself, and then dissolve a full tablespoon of nutrients in that water, and do the same for this top-up tank. I think the most practical way to do it is to, at least that's what I'm going to do now, is to dump 7 liters of water inside, and then what I'll do, I'll just dissolve a little bit, dissolve a nutrient in a smaller container, and then I just pour it in and mix it. So for 7 liters of liquid, I just use this bottle that I use for my gym, which is roughly 1.5 liters, so that would be 4.5 or 4 something bottles of water that I need to pour in. Make sure that you have your plugs safely inserted on both sides, and then just fill it up with water. Alright, so as you can see, I'm pouring the last around 7th liter of water inside of the tray, and this is just the regular water. In theory, before planting anything in this water, you need to let it kind of settle for a few days, but since we're going to plant seeds anyway, it probably doesn't matter. And then I have a glass of hot water, made hot so that it's easier to dissolve the fertilizer, and I'm going to add fertilizer. So the instruction says to add 1 large spoonful of the nutrient powder. There's one thing though, because we're going to grow it from seeds, when seeds germinate, they have all their nutritions inside of the seed. So we don't really need a lot of nutrition in this initial portion of water for the first few weeks, and also we don't want to burn the root system of a very young plant. So for this initial portion of water, I will put way less nutrient than recommended large spoonful. I'll just put a little bit of nutrients, maybe like half a teaspoon, and this is hot water that I have here, so it will dissolve pretty fast, and then I'll just dump this water into my tray and mix it a little bit. Alright, so You can barely see it, but there's enough nutrient for our plants to start growing. And then I also filled up with water this tank. And again, the purpose of this tank is to make sure that as water in the tray evaporates, it keeps adding more water to keep it at a constant level. And I didn't even add nutrients into this water because I would assume it's just regular water in here, and it will dissolve with the rest of the water in the tank. So I'll just quickly flipping it, installing it like this, and we are done with the initial setup of water. Now, what do we do next in terms of growing medium? So growing media is a pretty interesting subject in hydroponics, because remember, hydroponics by definition is soilless. We don't need soil to grow, but we still need some media to hold the root system and hold the plant itself. So the tray comes with the so-called wrappers, and this is basically just paper with, I think it's either perlite or vermiculite in it. So if you're growing something from seedlings, which is like a small plant with some root system, you just use these wrappers to wrap the plant, and you just stick it on the hole. We'll be growing something from seeds, so we'll use something else. We'll use this wonderful thing called rockwool. And rockwool is manufactured by the company from Denmark, I think, might be mistaken, called Grodan. So this is something that industrial operations and industrial warehouses use to grow their stuff. We don't provide this with our tray, although we might do it in the future. So you'll have to get it at your local hydroponic store or get it on Amazon. The trick with selling it at Amazon is Amazon charges you some seller's fee and storage and shipping fee. So if we were to sell from Amazon, it would be like $20 just to break even, and you can get it for probably $1 a piece at the store, or you can still get it on Amazon. It shouldn't be that expensive. So the good thing about rock wool, it's basically some kind of mineral wool, artificially made, and it does not grow mold that easily, although you can still get some mold on your substrate, on your growing medium. But it's probably the best there is to plant your plants, and no wonder that's an industry standard. Everybody uses Grodan, and they come in all shapes and sizes. They come in cubes, they come in cylinders. I just happened to get whatever I could find in the store, and obviously it doesn't fit. So you cannot fit square peg into round hole. To solve that problem, I have my trusted utility knife. So what I'll do, I'll just kind of approximately cut my piece of rock wool into the shape that would fit, and then I will just stick it in. So my first approximation was not exactly correct. So the idea is, once you've prepared your plug out of rock wool, the idea is to make sure that the surface of the rock wool is approximately the same as the surface of your I think it's called basket, or I don't know what it's called, so that it gets light. Basically, it shouldn't be too deep, because if it's too deep in, then it will not get enough light from either outside of from your artificial lighting system. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to pre-cut those rock wool plugs and just stick them in. And sooner or later, what will happen, the capillary effect will pull the water from the bottom, and they will become wet to the top. But if you don't want to wait for too long, you can accelerate this process by kind of pouring a little bit of water on the top. But the idea is they need to be wet at the top as well, because that's where we're going to put our seeds in. Alright, so this is number one that I did. And then I will fast forward to the point where I have all my plugs safely put in. So 10 minutes later, and I created those plugs from Grodan, not sure if you see it. Grodan, that's the name of, I guess that's the brand, or maybe the name of the company, but the thing is called Rockwool, in case you look it up on the internet. So I created those plugs, and right now they're dry, so when you kind of insert them, make sure you don't insert them too tight. I mean, you should be able to pull them out if you need to, and also make sure they're wet. So right now they are not. So there are two ways to achieve that. You can either wait until they become wet using capillary effect, or, as in my case, being pretty impatient, I would just pour some water on the top, which will do the deal, which will achieve the desired result. Okay, now my Rockwool growing media is wet, and they will stay wet. You don't need to worry about it too much because of capillary effect. They will pull the water up from the tray. The next item is the planting itself. So that's kind of quite simple. You just get whatever seeds you can get your hands on and plant them. But it has to make sense. Obviously, you don't plant the variety of tomatoes which grow meter or 1.5 meters high. You need to, if you do find some tomato plants that are kind of recommended for growing in pots, like kind of this kind of variety, then you just go ahead and plant them. So what I'm going to end planting, okay, let me see. I got lettuce, parsley, basil. I got 1, 2, 3 different types of tomato, and some weird hot peppers. And I'm going to plant them all just by basically gently pushing the seeds inside of the growing medium. Those seeds are really tiny, like salad seeds are really tiny, and it's a little bit hard to handle them. So just make sure you do it accurately, don't push them in too deeply. Maybe 2-3 seeds for each plug maximum, and that's it. And then don't be too impatient. They will eventually germinate and they will start growing, and when they just started to grow, it will be somewhat slow process. In the beginning it's slow, but then once the further down the timeline it goes, the faster they will grow. So I'm going to zoom in right now on the plugs, and I'll show you how I'm doing it. Okay? Okay, so let's say this one will be lettuce. So the seeds are really tiny. So what I'll do, and there's no right way to do it or no wrong way to do it, but I'll just, I create small holes with the tip of my utility knife, and then I'll just drop the seeds there. There's one here. It has to be wet. It doesn't have to be, the seeds have to be wet obviously to start growing, but you don't need to really burrow them too deeply. That's not healthy for this small plants. Okay, one seed there. Get out. And then there's one seed right on the top, which I'll not easy. So the overall rule with the seeds the smaller the seeds are, the smaller the percentage of them that germinate. So some of those seeds that you're planting will not even germinate at all. So that's why, in particular, if those seeds were sitting in your household for a few years, like the case of mine, maybe just plant a little bit more than you actually need, and then if you have more plants than you were planning, you can just remove them. So that's the idea. You take those tiny seeds, you plant them, and then you need to find some solution for providing enough light. Now let's talk about what's next. So you planted your plants, and the next thing you need to do is to obviously make sure that they have enough light and the temperature is okay for them to germinate. The light unit compatible with this tray will be offered to our customers very soon, and it will look like the cover for this box, which will be installed on those commodity water pipes, and then there will be a cover that has LED lights embedded, which will allow you to kind of even stack them. You can stack two growing trays, each one with individual lighting system. While that system is not there yet for us, you can just use any kind of artificial light to help your plants grow. Obviously, I mean, the best idea is to not use any artificial light. If you have south-facing window, just put it on the windowsill and it will work. As long as it's not too cold, obviously. I'm not liking my house, even though it has south-facing windows. They're completely obscured by neighbor's tree. So even now in the winter, there's not much light. So I would have to use some kind of artificial lighting. And one option is I bought this kind of purpose-made grow light on Amazon. And what it has a variety of different LEDs. And in the majority of cases, you need just two types of LED, blue and red. The green component is not required because, in theory at least, the plants don't need the green light. So that's why, because that's why they're green. They basically reflect every green light wave that is shown in them. So the idea is not to waste your energy giving them green lights because they don't need it. Some of the grow lights, they still do this so-called full spectrum from different reasons. I guess one of the reasons for that is that full spectrum light just makes your plants look better. They don't look like green and they don't look like blue in this kind of blue and red light. So have your tray put in a reasonably warm place where it will get enough light, and just leave it there. You have everything you need for our seeds to germinate now, and let's revisit after a few weeks, or hopefully 1-2 weeks, when the seeds start coming out. And the next video I'll update everybody on the progress. Alright, this is just to show the final state. So I ended up planting lettuce, basil, pepper, parsley, two types of tomatoes, S and K. Those are just the names of the types. Both of them are like low growing and specifically designed for growing indoors, and cilantro and mustard. And that's it for this video. Now I'm gonna just put this tray under artificial light because I don't have anything else in my house, and we'll come back in a couple of weeks and see how it goes. Thank you very, very much for watching.